Bell Time by Sophie Tuvey, Chapter 18. Think, Jen. You have to think. I was sitting in the car with Michael, pouring my heart out, then wishing he would kiss me senseless, and all the time this is what he really thought of me. Unstable. Unsuitable for promotion. It hurts, but it hurts because I believe it too. The past few days have been a roller coaster, and that was just with getting the application form in. I grab a tissue from my bag and wipe my smudgy eyeliner. I have to get out of here. I move in the opposite direction of the door, back into the bar. Round the corner there's a fire escape. Without hesitation, I push the bar down and feel the cold air blast my face. At least I'm wearing my coat. I start walking quickly. I need to find a bus stop that's far enough away that if Michael comes looking for me, he won't find me. Messages come through from Michael. Michael, where are you? Are you okay? I ignore them. I push past crowds of people who are waiting for the nightclubs to open. I ignore the catcalls and stay focused. I don't know this area very well, but if I get to the main city centre, I can get a bus home. I feel a pang, like a physical sickness gnawing in my stomach. I could throw that romantic dinner right back up again. Let's not talk about work, he said. What a joke. He was probably just pretending to find me attractive. I thought I had the upper hand for once, but he was luring me into a false sense of security. I can't face messaging the girls because Dina will just say, I told you so. I can't believe I actually thought he cared. My phone rings. Michael. I press the red button to decline the call. I angrily brush the tears off my cheek and spot a bus on the other side of the road. I check it's going in the right direction and hop on, relieved I've made it this far. It's not that late, and I can find my own way home. I don't need Michael Chase. I have to wait for longer at the city centre stop for my connection, and I huddle into my coat and keep my eyes down. There is a group of rowdy boys waiting around too, and I wish their bus would come. Being a girl is just so unfair at times. I bet Michael and David have never known what it's like to feel vulnerable standing at a bus stop in the dark. David would never consider telling a male applicant to withdraw from a promotion and fob him off with a different role. He would never compliment a male colleague's physical attire in the same demeaning way he did to me. Would Michael have observed Jeff and texted David about concerns for his mental health? Is it because I'm a woman that I must be hysterical? It doesn't help that I really want to bawl my eyes out crying, and that would really reinforce their impression of me as crazy along with the whole bus queue. My phone rings. I look at it. Steph. I swipe to answer. Hey, I say weakly. Jen, where are you? I'm getting the bus home, I say, choking up. What? Why? I found out something about Michael. I had to leave. I can hear her speaking to someone in the background. The sound is muffled, but I can still hear her. What the hell have you done? She's really upset. Let me talk to her. It's him. I know she can't see me, but I'm shaking my head. No, Steph. Michael wants to speak to you. She comes back onto the line. I can't, I sob. I hear her sigh and visualize her shaking her head at him. Jen, I'm worried about you. Can't I help? The bus arrives with dazzling headlights. My bus is here. Call me tomorrow. I hang up and climb on board. It's a pretty miserable journey home. I spend most of it sniffling into my tissue, dabbing at my eyes, but I'm a mess and there's not much I can do to change that. I send a few texts to Steph to reassure her that I'm all right. Nothing else from Michael. As the bus draws into familiar streets, I start to feel more relaxed. I'm looking forward to sinking into bed, and then in the morning, all of this will be a bad dream. The bus pulls into a stop by an old railway tunnel. Out of the window, I see a few cars with teenage boys standing next to them. Suddenly, I recognize Tyler, and in the same moment, he sees me. I heard this tunnel is where the drug dealers go. Tyler does not look happy that I've seen him. He says something to his friend, and they get into one of the cars. The engine starts and the lights come on. The bus starts to move back onto the road. I look behind and see the car begin to follow. I start to panic. What is he going to do? Attack me when I get off the bus? Don't be ridiculous, Jen. But why is he following me? What am I going to do when it's my stop? At least my stop is in the shops area. I can go inside the fish shop as a refuge, but I can't stay there forever. I keep trying to crane my neck around to see if the car's still following. It's too hard to see. I look at my watch. Is it too late for me to call Dad? What am I going to say? Dad, there's a kid I teach who I think might be dealing drugs, and he's following me home. Only as a last resort. I know one thing. I can't go into my flat if Tyler is watching to see where I live. I'll never feel safe again. We arrive at the shops and I shakily stand up and ring the bell. The bus heaves and lurches into the stop space and I stumble with my heels on down the aisle. I tremble as I walk down the steps and find the pavement. The bus pulls away and I'm facing the car park by the shops. The car with Tyler in swerves into a space, the lights blaring so I can't see the driver. Jen! I turn to see Michael, stepping out of his car at the other end of the car park. He must have been waiting for me. I've never been so glad to see him. I break into a run, nearly falling because of my heels, and I hurl myself at him. Please, let's drive away from here. I gabble incoherently as his arms wrap around me. What's happened? He asks, squeezing me tightly against his chest. I pull back and start trying to open his car door. We have to leave now, I sob. Okay. He opens the door for me and helps me inside, then climbs in on the driver's side. Tyler's followed me here, I say, once his door is shut. He's waiting in that car over there. Michael looks out of the window. Why is he following you? Just drive, please, Michael. He starts the car and reverses back, then zooms out of the car park. The car with the headlights on doesn't follow. I lean back against the seat and realise that my cheeks are wet with tears. I brush them off and let out a sob. Michael looks at me in alarm, and I can see him scan the area for somewhere to stop. Don't stop! Where shall I go? Anywhere away from here. Are you going to tell me what's happened? I don't hold back. I tell him everything, from finding the mysterious card to noticing that Tyler carried cash, and then I tell him about the grudge he has since the trip and the lesson he boycotted with the lunchtime antics, the drawing on the board, the bags in the aisle, throwing pens for me to pick up, and the sexual comments. Now I've seen him with the druggies, he's going to hunt me down. A fresh wave of despair hits me and I sob harder. Why didn't you tell me about any of this? Michael asks, clenching the steering wheel so hard his knuckles are white. Because I don't want you to think I'm a failure. I cry, an ugly, snotty cry, my face smeared with tears and makeup. Jen, this is totally unacceptable. We have to do something about him. I think we should call the police. And say what? I ask. None of it's bad enough for him to really get into trouble. He hasn't done anything to me. If you're worried that he's trying to find out where you live so that he can intimidate you, then that's harassment. But I'm sure he can come up with excuses. I was just going to the chippy. Who's to say he was there because he was following me? I have no proof. There must be CCTV around there. Again, he hasn't done anything wrong. Yet. But I can't have him find out where I live, Michael. He won't, Michael says, his jaw set in a firm line. I look at the road ahead. Where are you taking me? To my house. I turn to stare at him. I'm not trying anything, please believe me, he says hastily. You can ring Steph and tell her where you are if you like. I'm slightly scared of her. She already hates your guts after tonight. You're going to tell me all about that too when we get there. I get my phone out and send Steph a quick text. Michael came to get me. I'm going to his place. It takes her a minute to reply, with 3 question marks. Me. I know, long story. If I didn't feel so emotionally exhausted, I would be freaking out by now about going to Michael's house. But I'm drained, and I just curl up in the passenger seat and lean my head against the headrest. He keeps darting glances at me and shifting with agitation. Finally, we stop in the driveway of a semi-detached house. Here we are. Michael gets out and walks round to my side, opening the door and holding out his hand towards me. I take it and he pulls me up, then supports me with his arm and leads me to the door. He turns his key, and then we're inside a warm, carpeted hallway. I slip off my heels and he holds his hand out for my coat. As I take it off, I feel strangely bare and exposed before him, quite a contrast to my strutting around earlier. Come here. He takes my hand and we enter the lounge. He flicks a switch and a lamp gives a warm glow to the room. He ushers me to the sofa and then puts a woolen blanket round my shoulders. I'm going to make you some tea. I hear him clatter about in the kitchen and I look round at each corner of the room. The walls are pale and the sofa is a rich charcoal colour. I find myself sinking deeper into it, pulling the soft blanket tighter around me. There's a rug on the floor and a fireplace and a bookcase I really want to nose through. Predictably, everything is neat and tidy and fairly minimal. He comes back in and hands me a steaming mug, then sits on the sofa by my tucked up feet. He runs a hand through his hair. I've noticed he does this when he's stressed. I'm sorry for commanding you to drive me like that, I say, sipping my tea. I'm glad I was there. What were you going to do? Go to the chip shop? If they didn't leave, I was going to call my dad, as a last resort. I don't like the thought of you in that flat on your own. I don't want a year 11 boy to drive me out, though. Why did you leave the bar? It's the big question he's been waiting to ask. I drink more tea and marvel at how much better I feel already. David waited for me outside the ladies. He told me to withdraw my application for the hod job. He said that's what you wanted, because you messaged him to say I was unstable and couldn't handle it. I didn't, he says immediately, with a strength of indignance that makes me believe him. I saw the message. He frowns and shakes his head. What exactly did it say? I don't think she's very stable. Hod is too much for her to handle. Even as I say it out loud, my cheeks grow hot with embarrassment. Perhaps he will remember sending it. His fingers are pressed into his forehead, and all I can think is how much I hope that he doesn't have such a low opinion of me now. It sounds like something I said about Liz before she went on the sick. He lifts up his head and looks at me. Now it's my turn to consider. I didn't look at the date on the message. Given my behaviour tonight, I'm beginning to doubt how stable I really am. He looks at me more earnestly. There's nothing wrong in the way you've reacted. I know I'm constantly offending you, and I broke your favourite mug. I'm not surprised that you thought I said that about you, but please believe me when I say that I didn't. He runs his hand through his hair again. I can't believe David outright lied to you and used a text I'd sent about someone else. He wants me to believe him. Is it just so he can keep his cover and continue to manipulate me? That's Dina talking. As much as part of me would like to keep him at arm's length, another part of me is hypnotised by his stormy grey eyes and his desperation to make things right between us. It just made me wonder if you'd been watching me and talking about me to him all along. I watch him carefully. He shakes his head. No, I honestly haven't. I wouldn't do that to you. The clock, the cat, the mug, all the little moments we've shared make me realise that I do trust him. I'm sitting in his home, wrapped in a blanket, and I feel safe. I want to stay here forever. Michael, though, jumps up in restlessness and paces to the bookcase. I can't believe David asked you to withdraw. His sense of outrage is cute, but it's frustrating that this is his first inkling that there's something rotten in the state of Denmark. I take another sip of tea. He'll do anything to get what he wants. He offered me the Alenko role. Really? Michael looks impressed. You would be great at that. Not that I'm saying you should accept his offer. He's back to pacing again. It's just the way he does everything that bugs me. It's entitled. I say this and simultaneously hope Michael won't take offence, but that he will also apply this to himself. He also had the cheek to tell me not to seduce you, and then his parting shot was, nice dress. Are you trying to seduce me? Michael stops pacing and awkwardly presses the back of his neck. He almost looks afraid. Well, I'm not doing a very good job at it, am I? I jiggle my blanket and put my mug down on the coffee table. I haven't seen my face, but I've got bruising and runny mascara. Michael's arm relaxes at his side, and he stands still for a moment looking at me. The next thing I know, he's back on the sofa beside me, as if irresistibly drawn back. He's even closer this time. He reaches over and rubs his thumb over my tear-stained cheek. You look beautiful to me. I can't help it. I start crying again. I am a complete emotional wreck. He folds his arms around me and draws me into his warmth. It's like the mug day, but this time I don't fight it. He smells too good. Am I mentally unstable? I ask when the sobs have subsided. You're just tired and upset, Michael reassures me. What time is it? 9 o'clock? Wow. It feels like it could be midnight. That's lame. You should be partying in the bar now instead of having me drown in your sofa with my meltdown. Jen, the only reason I was planning to go to the bar was because of you. Once you left, there was no incentive for me to stay. He gives me a wry smile. I think he actually likes me. Really? Yeah, it's not my kind of thing. Plus, Steph looked like she was about to start torturing me for information when I had no idea what I had done wrong. Did David speak to you? As soon as I ask this, his expression changes. I can see his jaw tighten. He made a few comments. About me, I press. If I lean forward any more, we're going to bump our foreheads together. He doesn't answer, and he's avoiding eye contact. Tell me. I reach out and touch his shoulder to get his attention. It works. He finally looks up. He sort of suggested that this, he passes his hand from me to him, shouldn't go beyond tonight. That if I wanted to have some fun with you, then I should let it cool off over half term so that the inspection and the interviews run smoothly and professionally. What did you say? I'm thoroughly expecting him to voice total agreement, and my heart sinks. I said that this is none of his business, and he would only have a right to discuss it with me if my behaviour was unprofessional. And what is this? I copy his gesture. I don't really know, he confesses. I mean, I'm not sure if you hate me. I'm getting pretty mixed signals. I don't hate you. I don't want to be a bit of fun for you, and I don't want to be used like a pawn in some race to the top for you or for David. I don't want to use you. He looks straight into my eyes. I haven't dated much. I'm not used to playing games. I haven't had much impression that you like me, I say, apart from when you bought me the ice cream, and when you saw me in my dress tonight. I nearly stopped breathing. We both laugh. Was that just a few hours ago? It feels like a lifetime. I think I realised I liked you when I first saw you wearing that pineapple shirt for the first time. We set off giggling again. Seriously? Absolutely, he smiles. Jen, you're pretty, funny, intelligent, bold, and creative. I could never be like you. I'm just a total bore compared to you. If you agreed to go out with me, I worry I would bore you to death. Are you asking me out? I guess I'm trying to. If I did, would you say yes? That's not asking me properly. Okay. Jen, will you go out with me? Do you mean on one date so you can see how you feel about me? Or do you mean to enter into a state of relationship? What? Do you mean let's go out this week on a date. One date. Just to see how it goes. Didn't we just do that already? Well, yes, I think so, but I don't know what you're thinking about it. I had a great time with you, before David ruined the evening. It's not been the best night of my life, I admit, but at least I'm here now with you, and we're not still stuck in that cocktail bar. You still haven't answered my question. You still haven't outlined your terms and conditions. He leans his face closer to mine. Do I need to get you to sign a contract? We stay there for a moment, an inch of breath between us. I wonder why he isn't kissing me already. Then I remember my injury. Maybe it's better that I take control of this. I tilt my head to avoid bumping my nose and meet his lips with mine. There's a split second of surprised hesitation before he joins in. All I can think is how soft and warm his mouth is, when I always thought of Michael as cold and immovable as iron. Now he's like molten lava and every inch of me is on fire. I knew you would crack first, he mutters, before kissing me again. Wait! I pull back and press my palm against his chest, desperately trying to focus on what Dina or Claire would say about this situation. So, what kind of asking out is this again? I need to know. Run me through the options again. I groan. So, it's either I'm asking you out on one date, he says, his eyes glinting, or I'm asking you to be my girlfriend. That sounds about it, I say, my voice half disappearing. Jennifer. He kisses me again. I can tell you right now that one date isn't going to be enough. I love the feel of his mouth on mine and I wrap my arms around him even tighter. Are you going to give me an answer? I give him another kiss. That means yes, I say.